Everybody, it's your main man, Anthony Brogdon, on the 1 and 2s, and I ain't playing with you today. I got a soul brother on the channel that's gonna blow your mind. You gonna trip on what he gonna tell you, because he gonna give it to you in layman's terms, and he is, because he's still doing what we gonna talk about, and putting that contrast on that to make you got. As he best can, an understanding of how our forefathers dealt with their job assignment that they unwittingly had to endure because of enslavement. Everybody, I'm Anthony Brogdon, and I'm not playing with you. I'm going to keep giving this good content to you, my friends, because I enjoy this. I'm a better person since the beginning of Strong Inspirations. I have learned so much. Let me tell you, my friends, our history is not only the beatdown, not only the beatdown. There are numerous thousands, hundreds of thousands of good stories. And even some of them other stories that aren't so good, we prevailed and good came of that. That's Black history. And it's all history intertwined, because it wasn't just us doing it to ourselves by no stretch. It wasn't just us in America this was happening to. It's all over the world. We played and still playing an integral part of the world's civilization. You can't get around Black folk. And then, check it out. And as you know, when we get involved, we take it to the next level, man. We don't play. We do not play. So hit the subscribe button on Strong Inspirations. It's free. It don't ask no information. It just let me know you like me, because I like you already. And ain't nothing you can do about it as you are watching me. Hit the like button on this video, because you're going to like it a lot. My man is tight. He know I've met him in person. I was highly impressed. Let me tell you just a little bit of something. I went out my way to go see this guy once again before I left his part of the country. I drove down a dirt road. I had to. And so y'all going to be excited about this. Hit the notifications on Strong Inspiration so you get a ding, you get a shock, you get a smoke signal. Your kids tug at your shirt, something to let you know that there is new content on the channel. Do that, my friends, and tell somebody about Strong Inspirations. Don't keep it to yourself. Did you see the video I have with the guy who he has a foundation for Black farmers? Watch that video. Did you see the one I did with the sister who's an attorney who fights on the rights of Black farmers? And she's got a foundation on top of that where she raises money to buy products from Black farmers to give it to Black folk. Healthy eating, my friends. Watch that video. Did you see the one I did where we talk about the sharecroppers and how the enslavers knew nothing about the growing of crops, so on and so forth, and brought in experts, us, to do that. And it was good once we touched it, man, friends. Watch that video. Watch the video I got where we talk about healthy eating. We do some wellness on this show too, and herbs and spices and stuff like that. Watch that video. And I got them across the board. Just go to Strong Inspirations. Hit the subscribe button. I'm always going to say that. Now, you know, there's a couple things. One is I have this documentary that I've done titled Business in the Black, The Rise of Black Business in America. Did y'all know that there were slaves who owned businesses? I talk about them in my film and so much more. I took it to 40 cities across America. I was like Johnny Appleseed, just spewing this knowledge. Get this, get this. And then a couple of people said, hey, why don't you write the book on it? And there's my book, everybody. It's called Black Business Book. It is the #1 Black business history book on the market. There is no other book like this. You must have you a copy. And it's very, very reasonably priced. I'm going after volume. I want people to know what I have assembled in this publication. Business in the Black is my web.net. Businessintheblack.net is my website. You can find all of what I do there. I got a bunch of speaking engagements, my friends, for Black History Month. And now I'm going across the country again. So there's things that you'll see it on the site, and I'll let you know on the show where I'll be. I like this. This is easy talk. To say something good about my brothers and sisters, like this gentleman right here, this easy talk. I can do this all the time. I like this because my aim is to inspire, to educate, and entertain. And you hear me use this term strong a lot. Strong is my favorite word. I wish my middle name was Strong. In my world, strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. And that is my introduction to my guest today. He's a strong man. He's fighting off snakes and alligators barehanded. Hey, when they come up on him, he bite them back. He that bad. Come on, brother. Oh, did I tell y'all this though? Hold on, before we do that. Strong stands for strength, tenacity, resilience, and a sense of oneness, nobility, and grace. Come on, introduce yourself. Thank you for being on the show.
I am Roland Chalmers. I'm a rice farmer in South Carolina, here in Hardyville, South Carolina. Been farming rice for 20 some odd years. We grow rice a traditional way. I grow a Carolina Gold and a Charleston Gold rice.
Okay, I love it. I got to ask a couple questions about you personally, just a little bit to get for my audience to get to know you. And one of the early ones is where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Hardyville, South Carolina.
Which is where? What's that near?
This
what
is
big
next
city?
to this is right at the Savannah River, next to Savannah, Georgia. I'm just right across the river, east of Savannah, Georgia.
Yeah.
South.
What's the town? Is it black, all black, black, white, whatever?
It's a mixture of black and white in Hardyville. It's a small town. It's nothing large. Yeah. It's just a rural town.
When you say where do black people live in the town? Was there a neighborhood? Did it have a name to it?
No, it didn't. Everybody just kind of intertwined in Hardyville together, whites and blacks. Basically, everybody just, and it's still that way today too.
Oh, okay. Let's stay on that just a tad. Did you grow up playing with white kids?
Yes, man, I did. I really did.
Okay.
I sure did.
And so the grade school you went to was integrated?
It was. It wasn't. It wasn't until we reached middle school, it became to be integrated. That's right.
Oh. So before that, it was the blacks at one school, the whites at another.
Correct. That's correct. That's correct.
Mm-hmm. How did your folks get to that town? Why there? It was a job or something?
My grandfather, originally we're from Bluffton. That's a little small town about 8 to 10 miles from Hardyville. It's right next to it's next to Hilton Head Island. And that's where my grandfather originated from, and then he bought property here in Hardyville, and that's where we got started. My dad and his brothers lived all of their lives right here in Hardyville. Yep.
Do you go back any further than that? Like, do you know where the plantation is in your family?
Yes, I do. I go back farther than that. My great-great-grandfather in 1880, he lived in Bluffton, and he was also a rice farmer. This is documented by census.
Oh, and so he grew up in slavery, though, didn't he?
That's correct. And my grandmother, too. My grandmother my grandmother's buried on one of the larger plantations here, near here.
Oh. Do you go by that plantation that the people had your great-grandfather? Could you go by there and
Yes,
That
I
kind of thing?
recently found out that my great grandmother was buried in this plantation, just by basically I almost accidentally, because I was in a meeting and I got to meet with some archaeologists. And when I went to lunch with them to talk about some other things with rice growing, they saw what my last name, Chalmers. And they said, we think we got something there that you would really be surprised to know. And there they took me to my great great grandmother's grave.
Oh my God.
Grave site,
So
that's correct.
did you well, how about this? I'm a northern guy, man. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I'm here in the
Right,
big city, Detroit, everybody. What's it
right.
like growing up in a small rural town? How did you play and what do you do every day? And did you grow up as a farmer, having to do
It,
work
you
the
know,
farm or
I,
what?
I grew up working with my mother's father. He farmed a good bit. He didn't have a large farm, but he farmed the property that we were on. And I farmed and hunted. I hunted and trapped. That was one of my main things. It feels like a kid playing basketball. Instead of me playing basketball, getting out there and playing basketball on a basketball court and afterward, I was mainly in the woods. I was hunting and trapping. I was learning these different skills. That's what I was doing most of my childhood life. After I got up and got into high school, I played in the band, high school band. But other than that, and I still was involved in. I played softball
Mhm.
too through the years. But I never got away from being in the woods, hunting and trapping. That was my main goal, which I still do today.
What do you
With
hunt and trap?
we would trap raccoons, opossums, a rabbit, hunt a lot of rabbits. We would also hunt deer, wild boars. That was on our property, which it still is today. Um,
Really?
that was that was my main thing. Being in the woods all the time. I'm constantly in the woods.
When you trapping, you got any compassion for the animals? I mean,
Yeah, I
I
do.
know that they screaming and hollering while you about to cut them up.
Well, it's just a part of life. And like back in those days with my grandfather, they trapped mainly to survive. You would sell the hides and you would eat the meat. So it was a survival thing. It really wasn't about just going out and killing an animal, for
Okay,
the
I
heck
love
of it
it.
or for the fun of it. It was a survival thing.
Um, how do you kill the animals? What were you killing them with?
You shoot a 22, you would use a 22. And, my dad bought me my first 22 single shot when I probably was somewhere right around 9 years old. And I would use it to hunt with. You hunt squirrels and, you hunt your raccoon and opossum. And, you would trap just like my grandfather taught me. He said, you hunt it, you sell the hides, and you eat the meat. That was real. My father, back when it was legal to take alligators, and they were just kids, because their parents died when he was 13-year old. So he basically raised two more of his brothers that were younger than him, and they killed alligator, hunted alligators, and they bought two automobiles off the alligator hide they had sold.
Really? So,
Yeah, they bought two. He bought himself an automobile, and he bought his brother an automobile where they could have transmission, because they basically rode a bicycle and walked wherever they needed to go to, or catch this little train that came through the neighborhood in Levy that came out of Savannah, Georgia.
uh, well, you know how to clean them and all that other stuff too,
Know
don't
how
you?
to do everything. You clean them, process them, and everything. If you're going to sell the hides, of course, you got to camp it out right. You got to they call it back in the day, all people call it boxing it. You can't slit it down the middle. You got to, just like you pull off a glove. It got to be like that when you carry it to the market to sell it with no holes cut into it.
Growing up where you grew up, what was your take on white people? What did you think white people were better than black people?
No, I did. I never had thought of that, of being like that, because majority of the white people, not majority, all that we were around, they treated us good. We had no problems. We had no problems. We all got along. We shared what we had, and it's the same way today where I live at.
Oh, I love it. Have you ever
Yeah,
been called, and I mean, no disrespect in this, have you ever been called a nigger?
yeah, many times. But it was not by the people that was here with us. It was by we own property that was on a major highway that ran from the north to the south. And if I was going trapping to check my trap line, you'd be walking down the main highway and these northerners would come by and they'll holler out, nigger, nigger. But then when you got a firearm with you, you would never have that problem walking beside that highway.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. If somebody called you, as you say, somebody call you nigger, why does that upset you? Because you know you're not. I mean, what's the upsetting component of nigger?
The only upsetting would be that someone trying to deface you like that. That would really would get under your skin when someone trying to deface you as a nigger. Right.
I got you.
And a man. And you know you're a man.
Yeah. Have you, in your town, was there restaurants that you couldn't go in, or was there places that you knew that if I got in there and it got dark, something could happen? So I got to be careful from over that area?
Not at my time. Not at my time growing up. Not at my time. Even you had the different nightclubs or what have you would call them nightclubs here. You had black-owned nightclub, you had white-owned nightclub, but you would never have to worry about something like that if you went in there in the generation that I came up in.
Yeah.
At my age.
In your town, is there a story of some civil rights or something, lynching or anything like that is noted?
We never, not have noted. Not that I've noted them. I've never heard of anything like that. It may have been, but I've never heard of it.
Did they teach you Black history in grade school?
Well, yeah, we did. We sure did.
Mm-hmm. So now you said you did farming. A lot of kids might not want to do that no more. It's in your blood.
Right. It is.
You enjoy doing it.
I enjoy doing it as a professional level. When I first started out, it was basically what you call recreational farming. Done a lot of it because that's what I made my money. I could come in and plant food plots for you to hunt wild game, deer, turkey, dove, quail, or what have you. You know, I travel from Georgia to South Carolina doing that for mostly wealthy people, for them to hunt.
So you know how to put the food out so that the animals will come so they can hunt?
Right. That's right. Where they would be in a natural, they would feel more comfortable in a natural environment versus you just going out there putting corn or sorghum on the ground and they coming and getting, and they're skittish. You put fields out and food plots in the middle of the woods where there's nothing at. You know, it's just the middle of the woods. That's how I kill most of my animals, take most of my animals.
Like, give me an example of something that I would not know about hunting in terms of trapping and stuff like that, that you say it's got to be wet, it's got to be dry, you got to put this kind of food, anything like that.
The biggest thing you probably just think about hunting from the ground. I hunt from a tree most of the time. That's my best method of hunting. I hunted a lot from the ground too, growing up with my grandfather, because that's how they hunted. They didn't get in trees. Rarely they got in trees hunt. I got more into the tree hunting deal, you know, at my age, when I'm a day hunting, mainly from the ground or in a pit. That's how they would hunt. Yep.
You mentioned that you farm rice. How did you start out farming rice? Why did you pick rice over anything else?
Well, you know, I started out because I learned a lot from my mother, and she would always talk about how when she was a little girl, her and her brother, younger brother would have to get out there and thrash the rice and in the yard. See, the kids played a major part in African American, just like when it was slavery. They used the kids too. The kids would get out there and they do things like with the mortar and pestle, with the rice and everything, getting out there. And then the adults would take on a more challenging part with your fan or basket, fanning the rice to get it cleaned up and everything to prepare it to eat. The kids would do the more of a little rougher deal with beating that rice and getting husking everything off of it. And it was fun. It was almost like a game. You know, I know one gentleman that's in my neighborhood. He's older. He's like my dad's age. And he said, you know, he and his brother would get out there, and it was almost like you throwing a free throw playing basketball. You know, I throw the ball, you give it back to me. And they would take that pestle and get in there. When one of them turned his head, the other one would just take it and bang that rice in it. and they done got simultaneously. It was just, second nature to them. They could just, it was just back and forth like a machine.
Yeah. Right. Everybody, I told you I was down there and I met him and I came to his farm. Is rice farming probably one of the more dangerous ones because you in the swamp and the water and the alligators and all that? Is that more dangerous than any other kind of farming, you might think?
It probably would be, because of, you got to always be looking for snakes. The snake is the main threat, and especially with these fields that I have. These fields are not like your fields you would see in Arkansas or Tennessee, Texas, where you got a finely manicured field, the banks and everything. These fields that I grow in, which you saw when you came and visit me, these fields have all your underbrush. You got all your palmetto growing around it, your live oak trees, your pines. And the thing about it, this is where all your poisonous snakes like to hang out. This is where they're at. You got your rattles, you got your timber rattlers, you got your diamondback, which we don't see a whole lot of now, but the timber rattler is still very present. And you got the cottonmouth moccasin, which is an aggressive big snake. And you got your water moccasins. So you got all these venomous snakes around there because of the other things that inhabit these fields, like the frogs. That's what they feed on.
What is there something to keep the snakes away from it, or is not? Is that something y'all trying to do?
There's nothing you can do because you are in their environment. When you're in those fields, your only thing you can do is look out for these snakes because you are in their environment. There's nothing you can do. There's nothing to protect you except a pair of snake boots.
And the snake boots, I think you told me go up to almost your knee or something. So if they do bite you, they don't go that high.
Just about to your knees, and nothing that comes up to your hip or your thighs. It's basically below your knees, because that's where that snake is going to strike you. He's going to strike you from below your knee to right down to your ankle. That's where that snake is going to get you.
Have you ever been bitten by one or one?
I've never been bitten by one. I've been close to being bitten. I almost stepped on them. But, you're not paying attention sometimes. You're around some stumps or under some brush. You just got to be careful. And when you're harvesting the rice, if you get off the combine or what have you, you need to be looking around you, because they're out there. Don't be mistaken. Think they're not. There's always something watching you. You may not see, but it's watching you. You got bobcats out there. You got everything around those fields. I can take photos of all kind of animals and reptiles that's around those fields.
And then you got the alligators or the crocodiles.
You got the alligators. The alligators, you got anywhere from a foot-long alligator on up to a 12-footer.
Wow. So dealing with them, you looking down the whole time or something, making sure you don't see one, or how do you just keep your?
Well,
how do you do that and your job?
The snake is the most potent to all of these different critters that hang out around this rice field. These rice field is the snake. That's the one you most, you watch where you step at. You try to always stand mostly in the center of the road on those embankments. Do not walk to one side, the right side, or the left side. Try to stay in the middle of it. You can, because they're on the edges of these roads looking for frogs and mice or what have you is out there. A small lizard, something smaller than them.
Yeah.
For me.
What was it like for slaves, as you can imagine, doing it? What was it like? What was the difference between new technology that you have now that slaves didn't have that protect them, and what was it like for slaves? I mean, what was their life expectancy? Were they all of them? One of them was getting eaten every other day, whatever that was.
It probably was not one of them getting. They got eaten. They got eaten every day. But you would have fatality from it with the snakes. I think the worst part about it was the snakes, with them getting bitten by a snake, and you didn't have the anti-venom back then to save their lives. It's just like picking musk. There was a period of time too, up to probably the mid-70s, where you had people that pick a thing called musk. It was very similar to rice growing. You would go in the woods, just the raw woods, and you got to pick it with a burlap sack and bring it back. And I know of 2 people that died from that were bitten by rattlesnakes in that period. The first one I didn't know because he was related to me, and he was just a child, and that was my mother's first cousin. He got bitten because when the women go in the woods to pick this plant, they would let their kids, sit around on a quilt or something while they're picking. And he went beside a stump, and a rattlesnake bit him and killed him. And then my mom's pastor, his wife was bitten by one of these rattlesnakes, and it killed her. That I can remember. I remember when that happened.
So in terms of slaves, what was that what was that dynamic? What do you imagine they had to do? They slept in the cabin, they had to leave the cabin, they go out and do it early in the morning, then they can relax. What might that day have looked like?
It was really, to be honest with you, these people endured a lot. It was rough. It really was rough for them because you think about this, you're all day out there, you know, rice field. You're not only fighting the snakes, the alligators, and whatnot. You got certain times of the year, you got a yellow fly out there, it's biting the crap out of you. Then you got this what we call a black fly, deer fly. That fly is biting. Then in the afternoons,
is it biting like a mosquito or more than that?
Yeah, it's more than a mosquito, those flies. And then you got the mosquitoes. You got the mosquitoes, you got the deer fly, you got the black fly, you got the mosquitoes. You also have the gnats. Them gnats get all up your nostrils. I mean, sometimes you probably couldn't even see. And they didn't have no kind of off, deep wood off to put on them. Now they had some things that they could go in the woods, a certain plant that they knew, because these people was out of Africa in these jungles. They could rub a certain plant on them, and it was basically like a off or what have you, mosquito
really?
repellent.
Okay.
So they probably did a little bit of that, but yet still, it was just brutal. Then at night, those cabins that they lived in, they didn't have any windows or any air conditioning. The windows and the doors were wide open. So you got the mosquitoes coming in biting you all night. That's why malaria was such a problem and killed a lot of the slaves in those swamps, in those fields.
Oh, I see. So they had to have a lot of slaves to work the rice plantation because people were dying and couldn't take it no longer.
That's right. You had, because you always had someone dying, that you really needed, that knew how to get out there and work that rice and hold those fields, and then they knew when time to let the water off and bring the water on, keeping the weeds out of it. And there were certain slaves in those different, impoundment or what have you, in captivity. Some of them knew a little bit more than others, and they were teaching the others.
Did they let women do the rice fields too, or that was too hard for them?
Women too. There were women working the rice field just as much as the men. They were out there hoeing those fields, cutting that rice. They were doing everything. I had my mother's grandmother. She would work in one of the plantations that's near here, and she would walk. That's probably about 12 miles from where we live to that plantation every day. And if you could, you would catch this little train, and that would cut the distance down to about 6 miles, and you still had to walk that 6 miles to get home. Ooh. Well, after you work these fields.
Wow.
That's right.
Well, let me ask you this. How do you grow rice? Take us from kind of the beginning of the process to the harvest.
Well, to start with, you got to have a field that's right, and that grow the rice. You got to have a water source out there too. And once you got these two things, the field, the right field, and the water source, then you start putting your rice in. And your fertilizer, whatever, you get your fertilizer in to grow the rice. You plant the rice. You wait until it gets up maybe about 4 to 5 inches in height. Then you start bringing the water on. And then you get your water on, and you got to watch your water level where you don't drown. People say that rice can't be drowned out, but it can be drowned out. Too much water is not a good thing all the time. So you get it up and you get it going, you get the water going and everything. But basically every day when you go and come back, it's going to amaze you how fast that rice is going to grow. It's going to be way ahead of that water if you don't have a hell of a lot of water to put on that field. So, you know, you keep the water coming to it, you're watching it, you see what's going on, if the water's suppressing these weeds and whatnot in these fields, and you just let it go. You know, you keep it going. You keep it going and watching it. And when you do that, you come back in and you just, you know, you keep watching it. And once you get at a certain level, you cut that water off. You shut the water down. You don't need no more water in that. You just let the rice start growing. It'll grow all summer. And around about September, you start seeing the actual rice start coming on the plant.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. So you put the seeds down when? What time?
I put the seeds down somewhere right around April, maybe early April.
Okay.
If weather permitting, and we don't have a late frost, because rice will not tolerate frost and salt. Those are the two things it will not tolerate.
Okay, so you put the seeds down in April, and then what do you do before the harvest to it, other than the water? Nothing?
Yeah, sometimes you got to come back in and refertilize. You may have to pull the water off it, come back in and refertilize, and then water back up again and get things going. And then you don't do anything with it. You just watch it to see what's going on with that water and keep your water in that. Keep your water level where it's supposed to be.
Okay, let me ask you this. Okay, let's say hypothetically you got 1 acre, 2 acres, so let's say 5 acres. How long does it take you to put the seed down? Is that a couple of days worth of work? And then you don't do nothing for another few more days?
Yeah, it'll be a couple of days of work. The first day I'll come in there and I'll till everything up, get it all tilled up, get my fertilizer in and everything, get it all leveled back again, get everything leveled and ready for the next day. Then the next day I'll come in with some different equipment and I'll start planting.
What did the slaves do? They didn't have equipment. How they had hoes and with the horses?
It would be a hoe. They would use hoes and a mule or what have you. You may have 2 or 3 mules out there with cultivators, dragging cultivators across those fields. And you got someone walking behind them, what you call the heel and toe method. Drop the seed in there with you, push it in with your toe and take your heel and walk on it and step on and press it into the dirt.
Wow.
Yep.
All the while looking for the snakes and the alligators and everything.
Yep. You won't have a lot of problem when that field is dry, but once that field starts getting water to it, that's when everything starts coming in play right there. That's when you need to be aware of what's around you.
And then after you put the seed down, you don't have to do any more tilling. You just have to watch it for the water to put in.
That's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. You don't have to do any more tilling. Tilling part is over.
And then you can go a few months, but doing them, but just watching the water, and then you say April, and then and you say in August or something like that. That's when you're going out there to go get the rice.
Yeah, in October you start harvesting. You get right around October, you start harvesting. You get your water out of there, get your field where you can get some equipment in there, and you start harvesting.
When you let's say again, going on this 5 acre thing, if you could just estimate how much rice is that giving you?
5 acres will probably give you somewhere, you looking to get somewhere right around, depends on the yield. You may get somewhere around anywhere from 3 to 5,000 pounds off of that, maybe 1,000 pounds per acre you get off of it.
Okay. And that's a lot of rice. That's
a lot of rice. That's a lot of rice.
And then you what do? You take it to who buys it from you at that point, or do you have to do something to prepare?
I'll take it to the mill, and I'll have it milled, cold milled and everything, where it's refrigerated, never just sitting around. You get it to the mill the next day. I'll get my rice out. If I cut rice today, this afternoon, it's to the mill. I first thing in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, it's sitting at the mill.
And then he pay you for it, then that's the end of it.
Right. That's what you would do. But in my case, I'm Rollins Raw Grain. My rice will come back where I can put it on the shelf. I'll have it in the freezer or the cooler, and people can come in and purchase it. And it's rice that I grew.
Is rice with all the dangers, is it a good crop? Does it yield just as much money as tomatoes and everything else, or?
Yes, it will. It basically will. It just depends on your marketing and everything.
Okay.
And this type of rice. This type of rice that I grow, this Carolina Gold, this rice is up there. This is what all your high-end chefs and everybody else all over the world seeks, is this rice that I grew.
Oh, where else is there that grows rice beside in your part of? Is it just in your state, or is it in? Do they grow rice in Texas and Florida?
They grow rice in Texas, Arkansas. You got some of the biggest rice growers that's in Texas and different places like that in Arkansas. They're out there. They grow rice in a much larger scale than I do. I cater more to my rice and whatnot. I cater to it and make sure I get a good crop every year out of those fields. And I grow on a smaller scale. I got smaller fields. The fields that I grow in many fields like what the slaves grew. Right. The quality of my rice. Quality of it.
Is there what do you? I ain't asking for your secret. What do you do different that maybe somebody else don't do?
Well, like I say, some people grow the hill rice, or when they got rice that grow on hill or whatever we call hill rice. And also the cold milling of my rice. My rice is always fresh. It's always fresh.
Okay.
You taste the difference in the texture of the rice that I grew, because it's never just sitting. I'm not knocking anybody, because I got other farmers out there that farm rice too, and we're friends and whatnot, and we all collaborate together. Yeah. We're all in the thing together with the rice growing. But my rice is always cold milled and kept refrigerated or in the freezer.
Oh, okay, I love it. Let me ask you this, just a little bit. They've said over the years that Black farmers have been hit hard for various reasons. What's the difference between Black farmers and white farmers in terms of the injustice that Black farmers face? What can you give us a few examples of that?
Yeah. You got a few, and when I say few, is few Black farmers that actually kind of touching basically with some of these large white farmers out there. But the thing about it is the money. Black farmers don't. I don't think they get the funds or loans that the white farmers can get out there. White farmers got, $15, $20 million worth of equipment or what have you out there. The Black farmer might got $500,000 or $700,000 worth of equipment here. You're still working almost at I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah.
Where they're at compared to these other farmers. If you go and look at these farms that these guys, that the white farmers have, and a Black farmer got, and the acreage, they don't have the acreage. They don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
There have been plenty of instances where Black farmers have been taken off their land too over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another injustice. What's that dynamic? How does that happen?
That being said, like what we just talked about a little while, just a minute ago, about the funds and whatnot. Well, if you don't have nothing but maybe 100 acre that you farming, 150 acre compared to this guy down the road doing 2,500, sure, you're not going to make the profit enough. You're not making a profit. You basically just live. You just living. You got to pay for all these equipment, these tractors, or these combines. You're going to lose if you're not careful. You're going to lose that land. That's what's going to happen. They're going to get these tractors. You're going to get that land because you already done. You extended out with the bank. Whoever loaned you this money, they're going to come for it. And I've seen some cases like that.
I got you.
Yeah.
As a white person ever tried to take your land or anything like that in your
Never
family?
had that occur. Never had that occur. Property that we own, our land that we own, from my father and my mother, we've always owned it. We never had any problem with anybody trying to take land from us. But if you don't, they're always looking. It's sort of like a wolf. He's always on the move. So you got to stay up with all your taxes or what have you, and don't get yourself in trouble extending yourself and borrowing money on that land. Do not. That's one of the things that you don't want to do a lot of. Be careful about that because you will lose it.
What about the point, if you don't mind I ask, have you ever had one of the white developers try to buy the land and offer you something that, you could have thought was a good deal, but said, no, then what am I going to do? Have you faced that?
That's common. That's common, especially at this time right here now. You receive letters all the time wanting to buy the property that you own because the property that I own, that property is our prime land. It's prime land. Some of the property that I own is prime, and you get letters, wanting to buy your property, from you, or what have you. But you got to resist some of the stuff that's going on. You got to resist it because once you sell it, the average black, you stand no chance of getting this land back, especially not the price that it was that you sold it for.
I got you. What about just a few more? What about going back to let's say slavery and whatnot? Did they work 7 days on a rice farm, and then they had so much downtime they're just sitting there waiting on it to harvest? What else did they make them do?
That was that was missing. No, ain't no downtime. Not when you was a slave. Even when with the rice, if the rice wasn't ready, there was something else you were doing. You were out there picking peas. You were broken corn. You broke corn by hand while the men drove the wagon or what have you. The women back there broken the corns off the stalk, putting it in the wagon. There was no doubt. Only downtime they had church. They would go to church because there was one large plantation near me, and they were recently trying to figure out where the church was located at for these slaves. But there was no downtime. These people kept stuff for you to do. They were digging ditches, going out there cutting roads, keeping their driveway clean or what have you. Because back then it wasn't things like lawnmowers and whatnot. Everything was just dirt and had to stay clean and neat. These driveways and everything.
When you talk about the plantations, so you live. How does it feel to go on a plantation? Do you hear voices and see ghosts and that kind of thing?
You don't see that kind of thing out there if you go on a plantation, but your mind get to wondering, just what happened here. How did these, and to me, I'm telling you the way you would actually feel if you went and visit some of these places, because you get out there and you working and you thinking about it. You would think, man, how did these people survive out here in this 105-degree weather every day out there in this cold? And you weren't wearing the clothes that you would wear in Michigan, insulated clothes and all this.
Yeah.
You were just wearing some hand-me-downs, clothing what they, was finished with, and they give it to their slaves and whatnot to put on. So, it was rough. It really make you think about how we live today. How we're living today. It really make you.
What did the slaves eat?
It was mainly what they didn't want. That's why we as blacks are so good at cooks now with whatever we have in the house. It was mainly what they didn't want. Because you figure when they did butchering of the hogs and everything, they ate the finest of the meat. The hams, all your tenderloins, stuff like that. Well, the darn rib cage and all that, what would be thrown away, we would get that and we would get the feet, the heart, stuff like that. That's what we would eat. The ears.
Woo.
And this, all this stuff right now is still incorporated in African American food culture today, right now, today. The chitlins, this is the lowest of the low that we were getting to eat.
You ever had ears?
Now I'm eating figure. I got friends that love it. They go to Louisiana just to pick it up, just to buy that stuff. Yep.
And it's got to be a real fatty and tasty.
No, it really isn't. It's mainly nothing but gristle.
And the feet too. You ever had the feet?
The feet, yes, I have. And it's good. It is good.
Put barbecue sauce on it or something like that.
Barbecue sauce, you don't put barbecue sauce. If you cook it right and have a gravy to it, there won't be nothing but bones on that table.
Really, I love it. So let me have just a couple more. When you out there, you don't have no radio or something. You just listening to the sounds and the quietness don't bother you, that kind of thing.
If you're in a tractor with a cab on that day or what have you, you got radio in it, you got air conditioning. But if you're just out there working with a tractor, doing what you normally do in the field, you kind of get to thinking about all what happened in these areas back in that time period.
Yeah.
You really get to thinking about it.
Yeah.
You come across old pieces of wool. You come across old glass, dish. You find all these old pieces in this dirt. That dirt, if you ever work dirt the way I have, I got another business, land clearing. You find all kind of stuff in the dirt. The dirt really tells what's in the dirt tell a story.
Have you found something that might have been valuable and you could have sold it and it was actually from slavery time and anything?
Never have found anything of value. I found remnants of different things like a sword, pieces of it, a hole, pieces of a glass. You found a lot of Indian artifacts in this area, broadheads, where they started making a broadhead and they quit with it. They made the Indian that was making it. You find different things like that. But I've never found anything that of value.
Yeah.
Seeing pottery, pieces of pottery.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, so what's the name of your company? And what you do the rice, and right. Your rice is you got a brand word that if somebody saw your rice would know it was yours or that kind of thing?
Yes, it is. It's RowlandsRawGreens.com. That's my brand.
Okay. Can I and other people who watch this, can we order some of your rice on your website?
You sure can. We got a website and we also have a brand new store that's opening up here within a month. We'll have this new store open in Hardyville that you can actually come in if you're anywhere near Savannah, Hilton Head Island on vacation or whatever. You can come and visit the store. And also we have a rice field in front of the store where you can actually go out and look at that rice and feel it. You can actually feel it.
I love it.
Yep.
And
some other things. We'll have indigo planted out there. Indigo was one of the crops that the slaves on these sea islands farmed for dyeing the clothes to take back to India, take back to London and all the different European countries was grown here. We're going to have that. And some, we'll probably have some different clothing wear that's dyed from the indigo too in that store.
Okay. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, we went to the store as you was getting it started. I want to come down to the grand opening, so keep me
all right. We'll be looking forward to seeing you.
Yeah.
I'll get in touch with you and let you know. And we're really looking forward to getting this store open up. It's real close to being open, and it's going to be cool this summer because we'll be growing some things on the property that you can actually look at. Get out there and look at it. These slaves grew back when there was slavery in this area.
Oh my God. I guess one more. So now you go to your website, give us the website again, and you can order a bag of rice from you.
Okay, it's Rowlands, ROLLEN, Raw, RAW, Greens, GRAINS.com.
I love it. Is there a question that I have not asked you? Anything that comes to mind that you might want to share with us about what you're doing or otherwise?
I don't think so. I think you just about covered all the bases.
Okay.
I tell you the truth. And I
Okay.
really I enjoyed talking with you and everything today.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing you coming back down.
Yeah.
And sitting out on the porch with us at the store and
Okay.
enjoying yourself, and get to drink a nice iced tea and eating some rice. We have something cooked up over at the
Okay.
store.
Okay, this done deal. Hey everybody, I told you you're gonna like this. Boy, you got it straight indirectly from the guy who do it, but know how it was done and can imagine, because he's been sitting out there in the fields and no music or what have you, and he hear them voices and they're telling him things. They're showing him things. And protecting him. And protecting him.
That's correct.
And that's the major thing. And protecting him. Everybody, strong inspirations, well, we give it to you straight, no chaser. I try to come up with a few questions and let the experts do the talking. That's what we do here. Check him out. Go to his website. Order a couple bags of that. They'll ship it to you on time, well packaged, and it's fresh. And it's good rice. You want to support a Black farmer? There's one right in front of you. And he knows others that, could turn you on to, I'm sure, that also will offer similar, same service. Check out me on my book and go to my website, businessintheblack.net. I got a lot of stuff going. You'll love it. Order a copy of the book. Do him. Order his rice. When you're in that area, go check him out. He's at the store if he ain't in the field. So on and so forth. Support this brother and all his efforts. And to you, my friend, I say this and I mean it with all sincerity, my brother. I really do. I want you to stay strong, stay safe, stay on your grind. I love what you're doing. I love that you picked up the mantle and kept going with it. That you are preserving the history as you are doing it, and you are providing top-notch crop. You're the best at it. That's what everybody tell me. You want some real rice, you go see Roland. And
thank you very much, Andrew, for everything.
Yes, tell everybody I said hi down there. Thank you so very much for coming on the show.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.